The application for the Raytown CARES Act Small Business Grant will take about 10 minutes to complete. The following video will show you how to access the Raytown CARES Act website, complete the application, and receive a confirmation email. To begin, using any web browser, go to raytowncares.com. This will take you to the City of Raytown Cares website. Select Small Business. Scroll down and click to apply. The introduction page to the application will give you valuable information concerning grant application criteria, a definition of FT and FTE, a list of ineligible businesses, timeline for completing the application, grant priorities, a definition for business operations, and a list of expenses eligible for reimbursement. And last, required financial documentation to be provided after completing the application. Please note, these grant funds may be considered taxable income. The Raytown CARES Act Small Business Grant requires that the principal place of business operation must be located in Raytown, Missouri. Click Yes and continue on. Simply answer the questions and advance to the next page by selecting Next. Please describe how your business is impacted by COVID-19. Less than 2 paragraphs is fine. Again, please answer all questions and provide detailed information where noted. Clicking Next will advance the screen forward, or you may hit back and it will take you to the previous screen. Please list the legal name of your business entity and any common or DBA name for the entity, the name of the owner or authorized representative, how long the business has been operating in Raytown, and the physical business address for the location. There are separate lines for the street, as well as the city and state. Don't worry if you make a mistake. The application will prompt you to make changes. And be sure to include your zip code. Please list the business website, address, or if there is none, simply enter N/A. The business phone number, as well as the owner or authorized representative's cell phone number. This will help our team to get in contact with you more efficiently. A valid email address must be entered. And then select your type of business and industry sector. If other, please enter the sector information. If you've entered anything incorrectly, the application will return you back to the line to correct it. Click Next to advance. Please list the number of FTEs and the number of PTEs you employ. Any question with a red asterisk requires an answer. And remember, to click Next, it advances the screen forward, but you may also click back to return to a previous screen. Does your business have a current Raytown business license? Be sure to click yes or no. And also, check all boxes that apply for any COVID-19 related funding or financial assistance you've previously received. Next, select all expenses that are being requested for reimbursement. Multiple boxes may be checked. Information verification, you must answer the next two questions by stating that you agree and you understand that the application is subject to Missouri Sunshine Law. That's it. Click Submit. The final screen gives you detailed information about the documentation to begin preparing for your application. Someone from our team will be in contact with you via email to request that documentation. And as always, if you have questions, please reach out to the Raytown Cares program. After submitting your application, a confirmation email will be sent to you. The email will include a complete version of the application you've just submitted, including a date and timestamp of when you submitted the application. No registration number will be assigned for your completed application. Please retain this email as proof of submittal. Next steps in the application process are located at the end of the email, including a complete list of the financial documentation you should begin preparing. If you do not receive an email, please be sure to check your spam or junk folders. Shortly after completing your application, an email will be sent to the applicant from a financial advisor working on behalf of the City of Raytown. All documentation must be submitted in the following formats: a Word document, an Excel document, or a PDF. The email sent to the applicant will include instructions for the Raytown CARES Act Small Business Grant Reimbursement Request and the Raytown CARES Act Expense Reimbursement Form. On the expense reimbursement form, please provide the following information for your expenses: the date of the expense, a description, expense amount, and a receipt page number for the expense. Supporting documents for your expenses may include a utility payment history that can be found on your utilities webpage. If you're requesting payroll reimbursement, a payroll printout history for the time period being requested should be included. Payroll details should include the check date, pay period, employee name, amount of payroll paid, as well as any taxes withheld, and a check number if applicable. Sample documents for rent payments may include a canceled rent check. For PPE purchases, proof of purchase is required, including a detailed receipt and canceled checks for any purchases made. Please remember, documents should be submitted in type format, not handwritten. The Q&A section is next, and the first 15 questions will be on the screen for viewers to follow. This is also your opportunity to have your question answered. Go to the chat section on YouTube, enter your question, and we'll respond to it live during the program.
Okay, everyone, just a quick reminder to please send your questions by using the chat box on your screen. This evening, I'm joined by Missy Wilson, Assistant City Administrator with the City of Raytown, and Matthew Webster, Director at Stiefel, Nicholas and Company. Stiefel is providing services to the City of Raytown and will assist with collecting supporting documentation from CARES Act small business grant applicants. Missy, we'll start with you. What's a small business?
Good evening. For the purposes of this application, a small business can be a sole proprietor, a home-based business, or a bricks and mortar business that employs 1 to 50 employees, full-time or part-time. They do have to have a Raytown business license to qualify for the program as a small business.
Okay. And what are the maximum amounts of the grants?
The maximum amounts of the grants vary depending on your business type. Sole proprietors, not-for-profits, are limited to claim up to $5,000 for reimbursement purposes, and businesses that are bricks and mortar, 2 to 50 employees, may submit and request reimbursements up to $10,000.
Okay. And what's the timeline for applying?
You can start applying today, all the way through October 30th of this month at 11:59 p.m.
Okay. What expenses can be reimbursed?
Those vary depending on your business classification, so I encourage you to go to raytowncares.com to get the full extended list of reimbursable expenses, because it varies depending on if you're a sole proprietor, a not-for-profit, or a bricks and mortar business.
Okay, thank you. Missy, on the application, how do I fill out the question that reads, have you received COVID-19 related funding or assistance from any of the following resources by the date of this application? Check all that apply. How should I respond to that?
If you have received or made application for any federal or state funds that specifically identify that they are COVID reimbursement, please check those appropriate. And then when you are following up with the financial advisor, you will submit the documentation for what expenses that you have received or requested reimbursements. And then Mr. Webster's team will confirm with you if you still have available expenses to be reimbursed through the small grant program.
Okay. Matt, thanks for joining us tonight. Is the financial information I provide you kept confidential?
Good evening, everybody. Yes, we can keep sensitive financial information confidential, specifically your tax return, your profit and loss statements will not become part of the public record. What will become part of the public record, if your grant is approved, is the completed grant reimbursement form and the copies of expenses that you attach to that form. That part of the application will be placed in the public record and available to people who ask for it.
Okay. And Missy, as a follow-up, of the information I provide for the application, what information will be considered public record and potentially subject to the Missouri Sunshine Law request?
The information you have provided with your online application are subject to sunshine law, plus the reimbursement form you complete and the attached documentation there to that form are all subject to sunshine law requirements.
Okay. Matt, this one's for you. When do I send my financial documents to Stiefel?
You'll receive an email from the Stiefel team after you apply. The email will contain instructions about how to prepare your application. There are a number of documents that you'll have to send in. We've mentioned some of those, primarily financial documents. As part of that package, we would also like you to complete the reimbursement form and provide the backup all at one time. If you need to break it into a couple of emails, that's not a problem. But it is helpful to send all of the information at once. And again, as Missy pointed out, you have until the 30th of October to do that.
Great. And then Matt, how long do I have to submit the required financial documents for my application?
Again, that deadline is 11:59 p.m. on October 30th of this month.
Okay, and for the financial documents, if I submit my application for the small business grant on October 30th, will you give me a little bit of additional time to provide Stiefel the financial documents?
Yes. If you wait till the very end and apply, we'll give you a couple of extra days, and we can get back to you with the details on that. But yes, you'll have extra time if you apply on the final day.
Okay, great. And Matt, how should financial documents be submitted to Stiefel? Would you like those mail or hand delivered?
There are three ways to do it. The preferred method is to send us a PDF by email if you have the ability to do that. If you don't have the ability to do that, you may drop the materials off at City Hall, and there's specific instructions about how to do that in the email that you will receive. Or there is an address for Stiefel where you can mail the information. You cannot drop documents off here, but you can mail them here. Any of the three ways is fine, and we'll take the information any way we can get it.
Okay. And then Matt, the big one, how should I prepare my documents?
So when you receive an email from our team, you'll get a copy of sort of how we'd like this package put together, but probably most important, you'll get what we call a grant reimbursement request form. And that grant reimbursement request form is basically a table. And on each line of that table, you'll list an expense that you want to be reimbursed for. And then you'll provide backup documentation. Typically the backup documentation is a bill or a statement, and then evidence of payment of that bill or statement. So a canceled check, credit card statement, that sort of thing. When you prepare that grant reimbursement table, that must be prepared in a machine readable format, which is to say it can be an Excel spreadsheet, it can be a Word document, or it can be a PDF form. We're not accepting handwritten forms. You can even, if you have a typewriter, you can take a typewriter and type it and then scan it. But it must be machine readable. And then, as I said, email, mailing, or dropping it off physically are fine for delivery.
All right. Matt, if I received a PPP loan, can I also receive a Raytown CARES Act small business grant?
Yes, the key element of the PPP or other government loan programs is you cannot ask for reimbursement twice for the same item. So if you have been reimbursed with a PPP loan for certain expenses, but then you have expenses that have not been covered by the PPP loan, those are the expenses that you would want to list on your Raytown CARES application.
Okay. And do I have to pay back CARES Act small business grant funds?
No, it is a grant program. So essentially, once you've been approved and you've met the requirements, you've provided the information that the city requests, you will get a check and you will not have to pay that money back.
Right. Missy, when will I know if I've been selected to receive grant funds?
The Board of Aldermen will make that decision, and they are scheduled to meet mid-December to announce the grantees who will be receiving funds. And after that, then we will confirm the necessary paperwork is in place to write checks so that we can distribute funds mid-December through the end of December.
Okay. And then finally, if selected, when would I receive the grant funds?
Mid-December through the end of December. We have to distribute all funds by December 30th.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. It looks like we may have a few questions here in the chat, so I'm going to go here real quick. And let's start from this. Let's see. Okay. Someone asked, if I am Raytown School District, am I eligible?
Unfortunately, no. The Board of Aldermen, in their approval of the eligibility, deemed that it had to be a Raytown bricks and mortar business.
Okay, okay. And then Missy, for you, are nonprofits required to have a Raytown business license?
To make application for this, no. We do like to encourage not-for-profits to get a business license, but for this particular application, they do not. But they do have to have at least one full-time employee and be located within the city limits of Raytown.
Okay. And Missy, this one for you as well. Can I print my application and drop it off at City Hall?
No, we encourage you to apply online because that information, it helps us to communicate with our third-party vendors appropriately and in a timely manner, and we don't have the capability of accepting a written application.
Okay, okay. Matt, this one's for you. Are the dates for expenses to be claimed to be reimbursed April through September?
The instructions cover that, but it's April 1st through October 16 of 2020. Those are the expense reimbursement periods, and the expenses have to be incurred and paid within that window.
Okay, and that information is also at the raytowncares.com FAQs as well, just as a follow-up. And finally, let's see, will I have to pay this back in the future? And then is there someone I can call if I need help with the application documents? Either of you. Missy, actually, why don't you take that one? Will you have to pay the grant funds back in the future?
No, you do not.
And then is there someone I can call if I need help with the application documents?
Well, I will take the first part of that. In the online application, there is a phone number. It's 816-737-6121. And then after Mr. Webster's team emails you, I'll let him answer his part of the assistance on that.
Yes, we will happily talk to anybody who has questions. Send us an email with what you're looking for. If we can't answer it by email, we will call you, or you can call us. But we're happy to help anybody who needs help with the detailed financial information.
Okay, those are all the questions that I see right now. Just to recap briefly, the deadline for the CARES Act Small Business Grant is October 30th at 11:59 p.m. For more information and to apply, visit raytowncares.com. If you have questions that we didn't answer, the CARES Act hotline is 816-737-6121. If you call that number, please be sure to leave a detailed message, include your best contact phone number, and we'll give you a call back as soon as possible. Tonight's video will be available on the City of Raytown's Raytown Cares website, and also on the City of Raytown's website. On behalf of the City of Raytown and the entire Raytown Cares Act team,